Welcome everyone to the book I read. Today we have Aldwyn Alteney. Am I saying your name right, Aldwyn?
Alternate, yeah, alternate.
Alteney.
Yes, thank
Alteney.
you.
And who's one of the authors in the book, which is so exciting. There's like 24, 25 of us, I think. But today we're going to be interviewing Aldwyn. So Aldwyn, tell us a little bit about you and your chapter. What is it that you would like for us to know?
Thank you, Debbie. Well, I wrote a chapter about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is a classic book written in 1937. It's created more millionaires than any other book, and there's some wonderful principles in it. So I wrote about that because I have been on a personal development journey for quite some time. In fact, since 2005, I have invested at least $500,000 into my personal and business development. And this book has come up again and again and again, not just in my world, but with my mentors have mentioned that this is the kind of book that they just go back to time and time again. It's almost like the Bible of life, almost the Bible of life and business. The principles, the 13 principles around desire, faith, auto-suggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision, persistence, the power of the mastermind, the mystery of sex transmutation, the subconscious mind, the brain, and the sixth sense are absolutely gold. And each time I've looked back at this, depending where I've been in my life, I've got more things out of it. And so it's a kind of book that you can go back over again and again and keep getting the gems of wisdom that you need at that time. So that's the book I chose, and I have 40 years of media experience personally. I grew up as a first generation Australian in Sydney. I have Greek, Turkish, and Ukrainian background, and I was bullied as a kid. I never felt I belonged. I felt invisible actually growing up. I watched a lot of negative news, didn't want to be here for a long time. Growing up, went through some very dark periods, and then thank goodness came out the other end of that. And now I absolutely love my life. And I'm very passionate about inspiring more good news in the world and helping to lift the energy on the planet and decrease depression and suicide rates. So nowadays I have a media business. I work with speakers, authors, entrepreneurs, helping them package up their genius and get out to the masses and be seen, heard, and known.
And I'm thinking about all of those things that you do, and you were telling us a little bit about the book. What was it specifically about that book? I mean, you had all of that history of all of the trauma and all of those things that you went through. What was it specifically about this book that impacted you? What did it open up for you?
The 13th principle, the sixth sense. The intuition. There's quite a few of the principles, actually, the 13 principles that touch on the power of the subconscious or spirit or universal energy or God energy, the subconscious mind and faith. They're three of the principles, right? Which I think all tie into the same thing. So what I see with people who I really admire in life, they're almost like superhuman. I look at people like Oprah, for example. She was so soul driven, and someone that I'd look at her, and every time I see Oprah speak, I'm moved, in some way. And other mentors of mine, one of my mentors in Speakers Institute, Sam Cawthorn, when he does speaking gigs in front of thousands of people, he always says, not me, but through me, not me, but through me. And I think if you can tap into that subconscious energy, that God energy. I was brought up Christian, but this is not about religion. I do believe it's the one universal energy personally, and I think we have different names and stories around it, hence the different religions. And in fact, religions have caused more war than anything else. So I think the more we can unite and realize that actually we are all human beings on the planet doing the best we can in general, and how can we become like superhuman? How can we make the most of our life? Well, we do that not through our mind as such, even though there is the brain here as well that's talked about, or in Think and Grow Rich, they talk about the mind, but the subconscious mind and the brain, right? We have the brain that has 60,000 thoughts a day, 98% are the same as we had yesterday, 80% are negative for most people. However, how can we silence the brain, and how can we tap more of our intuition, the sixth sense? How can we use more of the subconscious mind to be more on purpose, to come across even more powerfully, I guess, in the way that we can impact the world around us with what we do? And it's, it's like tapping into the quantum field. And I've done a lot of, I'm a quantum coach, and I've done, hypnosis and all sorts of other trainings, as well as my media trainings. I love all of that. There is so much to learn. It's like the more we learn, the more we realize there is to learn.
Yeah.
So it's, I love all of that. So I hope that answered the question. So it's really, I guess, that was there one thing? There's really three principles that tap into the one thing, I believe, which is tapping into the power within, the power within, the power without, and realizing that we're never alone, because that's something I thought for a long time. I felt very alone. And when you look at the word alone, it also says all one.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Alone, all one. And so we're actually never alone. We're always, in fact, we have 14 generations of DNA in us. So we actually have our ancestors with us. And often I will actually feel my ancestral presence around me. And I've had ancestors that were killed for stepping up, that were kulaks in Ukraine when Stalin came in and killed off all the kulaks. And then, I've had ancestors that my granddad ran away from Ukraine because he was speaking up against the government, and they were coming to kill him for speaking up against the government, ran away to Turkey. So I have in my ancestral line people that were killed for stepping up, running for their life for speaking up. And that's exactly what I help people do. And I know my ancestors are supporting me, right? And I know that is in spirit world, right? That is,
Right.
It's all tapping into that universal energy, that consciousness, your angels, guides, whatever you want to call it. It's tapping into that God presence.
And the universe has conspired to bring you to that understanding, right?
Yes, and it's taken years to come to this point, and I feel like I'm just getting started. I've just turned 50, and I love learning. I'm a sponge for knowledge, and I love the power that is within and all around us. And as my mentor said, not me, but through me, right? Not, we can, use the amazing gift we've been given of life, right? We are 1 in a billion just by being born. We beat 1 billion swimmers to get to the finish line, right? We've actually between 400 million to 1.2 billion swimmers, and we won the race, right?
Right.
There's a reason we're here on the planet. We are miracles of life. And I do believe we're here for a greater purpose than just our own lives. And the more that we can be of service, as they say, there's no greater purpose than being of service. And often if we look at our own stories and our own background, and we look at the challenges we've been through, there'll be learnings, and there'll be little snippets of wisdom in that as to what our mission is meant to be, I believe, because I think everything happens for us, not to us.
Right.
Everything happens for us, not to us. So I've had depression. I've had 4 friends take their own lives by the age of 45. I've had some near-death experiences. I've experienced burnout, all these things, and they've all happened for me because there's been so many learnings in all of that. I got swept out to sea last year. I could have easily have drowned or got taken by a shark. However, I survived it. Right. And I learned to go with the flow. I learned to breathe and to trust myself, and to, there were so many learnings, to have that faith that's mentioned in Think and Grow Rich, right? To tap into the subconscious mind, to let go and let God, or let go and let flow. If I battled against the waves, I would have run out of breath.
Right.
And drowned. That's just one example of something that, thank goodness my 2 girlfriends with me didn't get swept out to sea, because they would have drowned for sure, because they wouldn't have known what to do. They would have panicked, as a lot of people would. And thank goodness I was fairly good in the ocean, but, I got swept like a kilometre out to sea. It wasn't a rip that comes back around to the shore. This was a whole other experience. And all of everything I've learned, including the Think and Grow Rich book, which is the foundational principles, I believe, for living an amazing life, all of it helped me survive that experience, and to come back and share the story, and to share the beach safety message. I went out and I did a live video the next day after that happened, and that got shared multiple times, got thousands of views, and because it's a beach safety message.
Right.
And we were able, through the media, to impact the local council, because on their website in Coffs Harbour, they said it was a safe area for children to swim, where I got swept out to sea. And there were like 35 drownings in New South Wales for that summer period. And so that day, when we got onto the media about it, they changed their website and said, be careful of the currents. Right. And so this is the thing, is by speaking up about it, I was able to impact change in that local area, which hopefully will help save some lives in future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we just have just a few more minutes today, and I would like to ask you, I'm so grateful for you joining us and sharing your story and your connection to this book that we all contributed to. And I love that we're all coming together with our stories to raise the vibration of the planet, again, in gratitude, which is even higher than love. And what is one thing that you would just wish for everybody that hears us and that sees us today? What is one thing that you would want everybody to have that understanding of?
I would like people to realize how amazing they are and that they are a gift to the planet. You are a gift to the planet. You are extraordinary. You are much more powerful than you would even think you are. And it's to let go and let flow and let God look at the things that you love doing, as Bob Proctor says, and do more of that. How can you bring more joy, gratitude, love? How can you bring more peace into your life? How can you bring more enlightenment into your life? And, it comes from having that time with yourself and tapping into the beautiful inner wisdom that you have around you, and tuning in, silencing the busy mind and tuning in to what your heart truly desires. And, the big thing is you don't want to be one of these 90% of people that die with regrets, and a third of people die by 65. You want to be one of these people, ideally, that lives a full life, and you get to the end of your life and you think, yeah, I gave it everything. I lived a full life and I did the best I could, and I had a great life. I enjoyed this whole roller coaster journey of life, all the ups and downs. Enjoy all of it, and enjoy the ride. Buckle up, enjoy the ride, and make the most of it.
I love that.
Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Well, Alwyn, thank you so much for coming in and sharing this with our audience, the audience of Action Takers Publishing, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Deborah?
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've enjoyed this time, and I'm looking forward to it. More and more of that, right?
Thank
What's your
you.
chapter number? Tell us your chapter number.
Chapter number 3.
All right. So when you guys, audience, get the book I read, chapter 3 is Aldwyn. Say your last name for me.
Aldwyn Alteney, yes. And it's called The Roadmap to Success. Transform your life with Think and Grow Rich.
Perfect. Thank
I
you.
love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.